Am I the idiot for banning my sister from ever seeing my daughter again? I, male 36, got married 12 years ago and my wife and I had a daughter Rebecca, female 10, my sister, Lindsay, never really liked my wife and I had to put some strong boundaries in place. It was not a good time and Lindsay really hated my wife more since she said I was choosing my wife over family. Well, 2 months ago my wife's father got really sick and after a long talk we decided that she would go take care of him until he passes away. That's the last of her family. We thought he would move in with us but he wanted to go home. So my wife packed her stuff and flew across the country to him and is his full-time caretaker. He probably has a month or 2 more. When Lindsay heard about this, she made a comment at dinner when Rebecca was at the table that my wife had abandoned her. This was the last straw and I went no contact with her. Rebecca really loves her aunt though, and it's been hard. Rebecca wants to hang out with her aunt, and I have refused to let her. I work from home and yesterday around lunchtime I couldn't find her. There is a note in her room saying she went to have lunch with Lindsay. I was furious and tracked Rebecca's phone, the first time that has ever happened, and they were at a restaurant. I got there as fast as possible and grabbed my kid. I told Lindsay she will never see my daughter again. This started an argument, and I literally walked out halfway through. Rebecca the whole time was crying and I asked for her phone. She gave it to me and I deleted her aunt's contact information and told her you will never be talking to her again as long as you are a minor. She was crying even more. I told my wife, and she thinks I did the right thing and has been on the phone with Rebecca a lot since it happened. I have been fending off calls from all my family calling me a jerk. I need an honest option since Rebecca and my family sure think I am awful. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your sister took a 10-year-old out of her home without informing either parent. She planned it in advance and likely asked your daughter to keep it a secret from you. And people are calling you a jerk? What if you didn't find the note? How many times could this have happened before? In the future? Definitely not the idiot, and shame on anyone who tells you otherwise. Comment 2. Not the idiot. But please have a gentle discussion with your daughter. Right now she thinks you are being mean and barring her from seeing her aunt for no reason. Explain your initial reason in a way she can understand. Then tell her how scared you were when you did not know where she was. That her aunt taking her somewhere without your permission was really wrong. Right now there is a strong chance if your sister showed up again your daughter would go with her. Your daughter feels she is being punished and kept from her beloved auntie for no good reason. You have to make her understand that what the aunt said was unacceptable. Maybe tell her it is not permanent, even if it is, but aunt has to be on timeout essentially. And now that she took your daughter like that it proved you cannot trust her even more so now she needs a longer timeout. Do whatever you can to explain and make her realize if she does go with her aunt again the aunt will be in serious trouble, and that will make it even longer before they can truly hang out again. Right now if she goes with her and she sees it as she has nothing to lose but will get to spend time with her. Now for the update. So it has been like 2.5 weeks since all this happened. Thank you to everyone that responded. So after this whole mess, me and my daughter traveled to where my wife and her dad are. We are all going to stay there until her dad passes away and I have a feeling it will be soon. He is not doing well. Rebecca is still kinda upset that she won't see her aunt again, but having her mom around really helps. My wife and I discussed it for a long time, and we decided to make a paper trail about what happened, so all that happened is now on record. My family kept blowing my phone up for a bit until I told them she is lucky I didn't call the cops. They got quiet for a bit, and according to my cameras, showed up at my place. It took them a while to figure out we left to be with my wife. Now Lindsay, yesterday it must have sunk in that I wasn't joking and she called so many times and I gave in to see what she had to say. It was a long apology on her end and asked if she could see Rebecca. I told her no, that she needs to stay away and she crossed a huge boundary. She asked if she could talk to my wife, so I put her on speaker. Lindsay then apologized to my wife about what she did. My wife was quite brutal and basically said if she really meant it then stay away from them. At the moment, Lindsay won't be seeing my daughter again for a bit. If she does stay away then maybe she will see us on Thanksgiving and Christmas. If she doesn't behave then probably won't see my kid until she is 18. Again thank you to everyone for the good advice. Edit, she knows why, it was explained. Still Lindsay was a huge part of her life. It's like when you have a friend that is great to you but she is awful to others. I can be her friend since she is nice to me and ignores what that friend does to others. Comment 1. I really think you need to explain to Rebecca why she can't see her aunt. Explain the sequence of events and constant abuse toward her mother. If you don't she will only get her aunt's version and will likely keep seeing her once she turns 18. Then the original poster responded with, we did explain it to her, she knows in child-friendly terms. A lot of what she did is not suited to be heard by a young kid. There are a lot of bad blood / other stuff, she knows the basics, especially what happened in the post. When she is older we will explain in more detail. She is having trouble due to Lindsay being a huge part of her life and she lost her. She still misses her and is dealing with Lindsay wasn't a good person to mom/me, but she was good to her. That since she was good to me, why can't she be around me? Comment 2. Make sure you explain to Rebecca why you don't want Aunt around her, i.e. she took her without permission, which scared you in a major way, breaking your trust, and was saying bad things about mom that weren't true just to upset her and make her upset with mom. She may not understand the full scale of the kidnapping now, but in 10 years, she is going to look back and be horrified that you had to be patient and understanding for her missing someone that literally kidnapped her after telling her that her mom abandoned her. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my brother why I don't talk without my father? I, male 32, do not have a good relationship with my dad, male 59, the reason being the pressure he put me on. If I had anything less than a 90 out of 100, he would be disappointed at me and tell me I was a failure, and I would never be anyone in life. I still remember him and my mom, female 59, fighting. She always defended me saying I was doing my best, but he would always scream that my best wasn't enough. When I was 12 I got 83 out of 100 in a math test, and I freaked out. I remember coming home crying. Thankfully my dad was at work and I begged my mom not to tell my dad. I guess seeing a 12-year-old boy freaking out for a grade that even the teacher thought was great was enough, and my mom divorced my dad. I believe that was the moment he understood he screwed up and tried to apologize. My mom always wanted me to have a good relationship with my dad, and I would stay with him one weekend a month. At 16 he had my brother with my stepmom, and I had to see the same man who called me a failure to be the best dad to my brother. At 18 I cut my dad and his family off with the exception of my grandparents and my uncle. 1 year ago my grandfather passed away, and at his funeral I saw my dad and his family. My dad briefly looked at me and then turned his head down in shame. My uncle came up to me. He said he understood if I did not want to talk to my dad but asked if I would talk with my brother. I said yes, and I met with him outside. We had a great conversation, and in the last year he has met my wife and children, and we have a good relationship. A few days ago, my brother asked why I didn't talk to our dad. I told him what I wrote here and more. In the end I told him our dad wasn't good to me, but that did not mean he should stop talking to him. Yesterday my uncle called me and said my brother and my father fought because of what I shared with my brother. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Childhood trauma is very hard to move past because it happens in our formative years. I know this from personal experience. You weren't trying to cause problems, just explain why you do what you do. I had the same kind of talk with my brothers about 20 years ago. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your brother asked, and you answered truthfully. You told him that your relationship with your father shouldn't affect him. You're not responsible for your father's past actions. It was probably hard for your brother to hear that, and face his own disappointment towards your dad because he had a different experience. That is just something your dad and your brother are going to figure out how they're going to get through in their relationship on their own. Now for the update. So, a few people have advised me to talk with my father and reconnect with him. I won't do that. It's hard to explain. Although I don't hate him, the trauma is too much for me to handle. I talked with my brother. He told me he fought with our dad because he believed what our father did to me was unforgettable, and my brother blames our father for never having a brother. I told him that I will always be his brother no matter what, and that our father has learned from his mistakes. My brother asked them why didn't I forgive him, and told him what I wrote here. They are talking again, so overall this went better than what I expected. Comment 1. My heart goes out to you, OP. Info. How old were you when your brother was born? What's the age gap? He mentioned not having a brother, so was he too young/baby when you hit 18 and left? Then the original poster responded with, I was 16 when he was born. Since my parents divorced, I would spend a weekend a month with my dad, so from 16 to 18 I saw him sometimes. Comment 2. I'm sorry people are pushing you to reconnect with an abuser. That's abuse in and of itself, and you don't deserve that. Hold your ground, that helps you heal. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my fiancé my daughter has to be in our wedding? I, male 45, have a daughter P, from a previous relationship. I divorced my ex-wife on good terms and we share 50/50 custody of P. She is now 11. After I divorced my ex-wife I met my now fiancé S. S and my daughter got along very well. After 5 years in my relationship with S I proposed. S was super excited and wanted to start planning right away. She looked at venues and started asking her friends to be her bridesmaids. She then told me she wanted her niece to be a flower girl, which I had no problem with, but I said I also wanted P to be a flower girl. S looked at me funny and then said that she didn't think that P would fit the part. I got angry and told S that my daughter would be at our wedding. S started to become upset and said that the girls in the wedding were up to her and P wouldn't be one of them. I told S that if P wasn't in the wedding then there might not be a wedding. I stormed out and took P to get ice cream. P knows we are getting married and told me she thinks she will look pretty. Whatever dress S decides she should wear, this broke my heart, and I decided to text S. I told her I would be staying with a friend to think this over. My mother-in-law texted me saying I was overreacting and that my daughter doesn't have to be in my wedding, and I was an ass for saying that I would cancel. So did I take it too far saying I will cancel? Am I overreacting or just being a good dad? Now for a few comments before the update. This is a big red flag. If she doesn't want to include her stepdaughter in her wedding, then don't expect she will include your daughter in her life. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Props to you for standing up for your daughter. That's exactly what a good dad should do. Your fiancé is trying to diminish your daughter's role in your wedding. I'd be concerned that'll carry over to other parts of your life too. Whatever bullshit she means by her not fitting the part sends up huge red flags to me too. I have kids, and this would be deal breaker for me. Now for the update. Hey Reddit. Thank everyone for all the kind words and suggestions. To answer a few questions, my daughter is not disabled, chubby, or having an awkward phase, braces/glasses. I did ask if P could be a groomsman. S immediately shot me down. S is 39, she is the same race as my daughter, this is her first marriage. I tried to answer as many comments as possible. I came home to talk to S today. When I pulled in our driveway, my mother-in-law was sitting there in her car. I got out and went inside trying to avoid talking to mother-in-law. S was sitting at the kitchen table and I joined her. She sat in silence, so I asked the first question, why does P not fit the part, and why don't you want her in the wedding at all? Her answer full-on shocked me. She quietly said, I was hoping that after the wedding you could become a holiday visit-only dad. I didn't want her in the wedding so she wouldn't be in the photos around the house since she wasn't going to be around much. I kept my cool, calmly took her hand, and pulled my engagement ring off. Her eyes started to tear up. She said we shouldn't end the marriage over this and that she can change. I told her the damage was already done. I told her I wanted her things moved out by next week and that she could come get them when my daughter wasn't home. The house is in my name and I paid for it. I was allowing her to get her furniture that she paid for. She stormed out and mother-in-law came knocking on the door saying I was being unreasonable. I couldn't imagine only seeing my daughter 3 or 4 times a year. The fact that S wanted me to give up part of my custody blew me away. I'm sitting on my couch just in shock. Our honeymoon was supposed to be in Hawaii. Looks like me and P will be going instead. Comment 1. Holy poop. First things first, you are an amazing father. Good on you for having P's back. Second, your ex-fiancée is an absolute witch. Like, how big is her bag? It must be massive to hold all that audacity. She really wanted to take your daughter out of your life and replace it with whatever family you two decided to have. You did well by keeping calm, my anger issues could never. Third, I know it hurts and you're likely in shock, but know that you did the right thing. Surround yourself and P with people who love and support you, and take comfort in the fact you dodged a massive bullet. Comment 2. You are a great dad and you deserve better. It hurts, but better to know now than down the line after you were married. Sending all the love to you and your daughter. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.